So, oh gosh, what part is this? I'm not sure what part this is. I think it's uh, part 5, part 6. One of those. It's another one. Um, Another part of the Prism primer. Uh, so I wanted to do a companion video to the Aura plan that I did. I've had some people ask me questions about the Herald plan, some of the stuff that I do for it, and I wanted to do it. The Aura plan is a bit more not obscure, but like kind of obfuscated in how you navigate it. It's not very face up, it's not very linear, yada yada yada, all those terms. Herald Aggro is a little bit easier to get the gist of. You send double Herald, it does good stuff with Rapture. But I wanted to do a video where it's like the kind of next steps, the level 2 stuff, where it's like you know how to get some basic value out of it. Your opponent knows how to do a little bit into it, so you need to be a little bit better. What do you do to get like that kind of next level? So I wanted to do a video on some of the things that for me were big level ups and the kind of principles that I operate under when I'm playing the Herald Aggro plan. The first thing that I need to emphasize going into this is a turn-to-turn value game plan. Now, what that means is you are trying to extract as many points of value out of your cards as you can, and you're trying to get more points of value out of your cards than your opponent will. So your 4 cards get more value than your opponent's cards do. If they attack you for 14 with 4 cards, then you want to get 15 or 16 or more points of value. You go +1 on the turn cycle, and you'll eventually get ahead. Now, we start at 32. So we need to make up probably 8 points of value, depending on the hero we're against, which means we need some pretty high value stuff happening. Now, we have the tools to do that. They definitely gave us the tools to do that with Luminaris Angel's Glow. So, the most basic, where do we extract this value from? These points of these extra things, these extra points of value to try and get ahead of our opponent. The first thing is we have very efficient big attacks. Herald of Protection, for example, 2 for 7 on hit Spectral Shield. That is a 2-card 8. We're pretty happy with that. 4 value per card is very good. On hit, go to Soul. Now, this means Rapture gets turned on. We can get effectively, and we will fetch a Figment off of Prism's ability, off of her trigger. Then the Figment flip is free. So we're not just getting this 2-card 8 from Herald of Protection. We're also getting basically an extra card, in a way, for Prism's ability to awaken the Angel and get Ward 4 off of it. That's pretty good. That's looking at 2-card 12. That's suddenly very good. It's Soul neutral. The Herald goes to Soul. You need a card to banish a card from Soul to awaken the Figment. That takes care of itself. Rapture is a free card every turn, basically, because it costs 2 to awaken a Figment, to flip a Figment into an Angel with Prism's ability, but Rapture making that free is fantastic. It's wonderful. Luminaris Angel's Glow, significantly better than Celestial Fury. If there's a yellow card in your pitch zone, first Herald and first Angel attack it, go again, which means we can get easily 2 attacks, and if we set things up right, 3 attacks. This is really good. This is way better than Celestial Fury, which was 2 resources for 1 action point. This is 0 resources for 2 action points, potentially. Very good. Last time we saw twice per turn go again was Voltaire, and that was pretty busted. So this Herald of Protection on the left here, that's a 2-card 8 on hit 4, now has go again. That's pretty good. That's even better. That's crazy. Go again is at least 1 point of value, is the way we kind of put it. Figment of Erudition and all the other Figments have effects when they enter the field, when they enter the arena. Erudition Ponder Token, fantastic. Essential, almost draw a card. It's like 80% to be a card we're happy to Arsenal. Like 5% of them are like, yeah, okay, I'll Arsenal it. And the other 15% are like, do I want to Arsenal it? That's a Figment that I have to pay 4 to get out of my arsenal. but all of them have effects when they enter that are just free for that Herald hitting. So that's another point of value that we can get. There's a lot of places where we can extract value, and then the angels themselves can attack. And they have on-attack abilities that we can turn cards in Soul into more value. It's just, there's a lot of places where we can make up that 8-point deficit that we start at. 32 is a very reasonable number for this hero, in my opinion. So the most basic version of this looks like we send double Heralds. We have 2 yellows. Yellows are our go again. They're our pitch cards. And we're going to send 2 Heralds. And when one of them hits, we can flip an angel for free. And we're looking at, not counting the spectral shields, 18 value. We get 7 damage dealt on the first Herald. We get 7 damage dealt on the second Herald. And then we get ward 4 on the angel that we get to flip for free. So that is giving us, if we just take the 4 health on the angel, that's giving us 18 value. This is off 4 cards. That's not bad. That is 4.5 value per card. That's very good. That's better than Scar is getting. That's better than Wounded Bull is getting. Enigma doesn't really do the math the same way as anyone else. This is better than Aurora gets, but that's if a Herald is hitting every turn. That's if we're not getting popped every turn. Phantasm isn't being triggered on one of the Heralds every turn. These are very good numbers. We're very happy with these numbers. But I want to go a step further and break it down. Just see, like, what does this look like in an actual game? And the first thing is our 1-card hands are pretty bad. We don't have Tunic, so we can't Tunic a Wartune if we're on Rapture. And I think we want to be on Rapture for an aggro plan. It's just too good. It's an entire free card. Tunic Wartune is not worth it because we're not flipping that angel, even if we get to be super efficient about it. So like 1-card hands, we're like playing a Pierce reality. In reality, if we're stuck with 1 card, I'm hoping our arsenal's free and we can just arsenal it. Or we're just going to like flip an angel for it. It's really not good. 1-card hands are miserable for us. In all honesty, they're really not where I want to be. 2-card hands, as we saw, much better. This is, we get to send a Herald, threaten the on-hit. If we can gain 4, awesome. These 2-card hands are great. We're averaging like 2-card 10. If it's a yellow Herald, no on-hit, it's going to be 6. And then the angel flip for free is ward 4. We're at another 4 value there. Then we're at 10, 2-card 10, 5 value per card. Fantastic. Great. 2-card hands are great. 3-card hands. Not a huge difference from the 2-card hands. What it probably is either an angel swing, which if it's Shariah, that's fantastic if we can draw the 2 off of it. But if it's just another angel and we're just converting that second card to 4 value, that's fine. We're at a 3-card 14. That's still very good. We're still almost 5 value per card. It's a touch lower. Often it will actually be arsenaling that last card to set up for 5-card hands. But our 3-card hands are fine. They're not a huge difference, though. They're not a huge impact. And the reason for that is we only are getting 1 Herald off, which means we're only getting 1 card into Soul. This becomes very important. When we only get 1 card into Soul, we can only flip angels. We can't use their abilities yet. These are still very efficient hands for us, though, but they're also much easier to stop. These hands fall apart when they have 1 6-power or greater attack to block with, to trigger Phantasm. It really can get... These hands can get kind of rough, and they're just not quite where we want to be yet. 4-card hands, much better. Again, another step better. We can not necessarily attack with the angel, but we get to send double Heralds. We get 2 soul out of it. So even if we flip this angel, we go into our next turn with a spare soul. We've got a 4-card about 16. But we have a spare soul. And that's very important. That's a big difference. That first spare soul is worth a lot because that's your Shariah draw 2. That first spare soul is worth about 6. That's pretty darn good. So even this on a 4-card 16, that's still 4 value per card. We're even, plus we're setting up for future power turns that are going to go even better, go way above rate. However, 5-card hands. This is where we make our money. This is where we really go crazy. And this is because it's similar to 3-card hands, but it's just like you just add another Herald, which you add another Soul, which means you get Angel abilities. And these really let you go like crazy above rate. And it's just, when you go Herald, Angel, Herald, this is the most powerful thing the deck can do. Shariah is a little bit of a weird one because the draw 2 ability just is your second Herald, usually. I will gamble a lot, in all honesty, on Shariah drawing me a Herald that I can play. It doesn't always do that. But it's a gamble I'm usually okay with. It's something I've gotten more okay with as I increase the Herald count in my deck slightly. But this is what really lets you go above rate. It lets you get Spectral Shields out with Aegis. It lets you send extra damage with Ravages. It lets you, if you're really ahead, like, use War ability. Like, these are the turns where you really push, where you really extract the most power out of your deck. But what if we pushed it just a little bit further? How do we maximize this potential? Because this is the turn that we want. This is the most value we're going to get out of a turn. Is this what people call the 747? When they say sending airplanes and they're talking about Prism, this is what we mean. It's 747. But what if we push this a little bit further? This is a 5-card hand. And this is a pretty good value. Let's say we're getting the 7 here, we're getting 4 here, that's 11, plus another 7, plus 4 ward, and let's say plus 2 for the Angel ability. So we have 18 up here, plus 6, 24. This is without Herald on hit, so if you have Ravages or Protection, that's not there. This is 24 value. Off of 5 cards. We're almost back to 5 value per card. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We're at 4.8. That's very good rate per card. We're going to make up a lot of value on this, especially on a 5-card hand. Decks that can only get like 20 value off a 5-card hand. This is Aurora standard. This is all 0-4s. And then we're at 24. We only need 2 of these turns to make up the life total difference against Aurora. Maybe 1 more to get rid of the armor. But they're also going to have some turns where they don't get the 20 value. So what can we do to push this just a little bit further? Because this is like 1 card, 2 card, and then 3 resource cards. 1 Herald, 2 Herald, 3 resource cards. What if we can make it a 4-card hand? What if we replace one of the cards with a Wartune? One of the Heralds becomes a Wartune Herald. It's a 1 cost. And then what if our resource cards are a yellow and a blue? This is my favorite hand in the entire deck. What happens is we pitch our yellow, we have 1 float, Wartune goes in, we can Wrath it to hit or it just hits naturally. Then we get our Angel Swing for another 4. And then we end the free flip. And then we get another Herald to come in. And you can swap the order of these Heralds very easily. You can honestly put Shariah at the beginning of this, and it's a very common play pattern. Or very powerful play pattern that I love getting to work through. Or utilize, I should say. This is really gross. Because we have the same 747. However, we only need 4 cards to do it. So if we're on that 24 value and we're at 4 cards, 6 value per card. That's so good. That's wild. 2 of your cards matched 3 of Aurora's. You're going to win aggro games like that. You're going to. Because not only is this like your 24 over 4 cards, you're going, if this is like 20, and if Aurora's at 20 over 5 cards, and you're at 24 over 4 cards, you're up 4, plus a card. That's your entire life difference right there. With this one turn. That's your entire life difference. Right there. That's how powerful this deck can be. This is a hand that I am playing to so often. It is so essential for this deck, in my opinion, to like really push the Herald Aggro plans to their maximum. This is like the turn that I'm playing for. And it's the power of a 5-card hand, but you only need 4. Like this is so important to the deck's identity at this moment in my mind. So, with that, what am I like? If that's where I'm at, and what I'm trying to get to is that 6 value per card, which is crazy. How am I doing that? What are the rules that I play by to get there? And the first is 5-card hands. Play 5-card hands. This lets you use Wraths to push that Wartune Herald over, or the Protection, whichever one you send first. This lets you play Reprimands to push one of them through if they're going to get popped. This also just lets you play Arclight Sentinel sometimes, where it's like you Wrath over an Erudition, or you Weavers an Erudition, and they're like, yeah, you have the Wrath, no blocks. And I'm like, okay, I get to keep the Wrath for resources now. I'm going to go get Shariah and play an Arclight Sentinel, and you're going to lose the game. When you get to resolve an Arclight Sentinel in the Herald plan in front of a Shariah, the game ends. That's just it. The game is over. Because then they have to eat another turn of double Heralds, and then they have to clear Shariah. Nah, that's just it. It also lets you use your arsenal to set up the most efficient hands. It lets you sit. I will very frequently sit on a Wartune Herald and Arsenal for 2 or 3 turns, waiting for them to let me hit with that first 2 cost when I have the blue, to get that 4-card hand that's just insane value. I Arsenal another Herald, and then I just do it again the next turn if I draw into a Wartune, or I just 5-card hand them again. I just go back-to-back 24s. And it's so important to get into this 5-card cycle. That first time you fetch Erudition and you're like, oh yeah, I get to ponder, put this card in my arsenal. Keep doing that. Not with Erudition, you can't. But keep that in mind. Think about how impactful it is to have that 5th card, to have that arsenal, to have that flexibility, keeping you not just on turns that can Wrath, but turns that are just guaranteeing that you can double Herald by always arsenaling an extra Herald, even if it's a blue one. Doesn't matter, the on-hit is worth so much. Use your arsenal. This is so important for the deck to play these 5-card hands and get into this, what I call the 5-card cycle, early, quickly. It's so important for the deck to function well, to mitigate some of the variance that's in the deck when you find only 1 Herald in 4 cards, when you find double Wrath or something, or you like when you're going to get popped on a hand that would otherwise not be able to play through it because you just have a pair of 2 costs and 2 yellows, and you can't pay for Footsteps unless you have that Arsenal card, and that's your other Herald to send. It's so important to be on this 5-card cycle and be playing these 5-card hands. Second one, power turns. Find these power turns. They're so essential to winning the game, to getting the most out of your deck. And the first one is obviously Shariah. Like, this is just, you turn a card into 4 damage plus another Herald. So you turn a card into about 10 value. Take it. Just take it. They took all the books away. All the books that were like +1 card, where it's like Artivore is like +1 card, where it's 1 card for 2. Or Tome of Divinity. You're going to pitch a light blue, play Tome, and you're going to draw 3. This is your Tome. This is your Pot of Greed, as people were taking to calling it. This is just so much value because it also comes with 4 attack. What? Imagine if Tome of Divinity attacked for 4. Find this turn. It's so essential to the deck doing well. The armories where I go 0-3, I get like maybe 1 Shariah turn off. The armories where I go 3-0, my Shariah turns are gas. The events where I do well, the RTNs and the PQs where I do well, I get my Shariah turn every game. The ones where I don't do well is where my Shariah turn doesn't happen or gets stuffed for whatever reason. Like, this is just this is the best thing your deck can do, I think. Like, you get to set up so many more of those Wartune curves with Shariah that it's just, you have to find this turn. It's so important for the deck to do well. Off of that, Halo. Utilizing Halo properly, obviously very important for this deck. This is one of the most powerful cards in the deck. It's probably the most powerful equipment that it has, and I don't think it might be close, but I think it is just the most powerful equipment you have. It is also one of the hardest to use properly. I still mess it up all the time. It is something I am constantly working on and reevaluating. The rule of thumb is if you can get 8 value off of your Halo, then it's worth it. But it's like, even that's kind of nebulous, where it's like, if you can Halo for Shariah and then stick an Arclight guaranteed behind or in front of the Shariah, then that Halo is honestly pretty good, probably. Haloing for Triumph can be very good. Haloing for Ravages can be very good. Haloing... what else is there? Haloing for Judgment. That one. That can also very easily get to 8 value, roughly. But this is another turn that you have to maximize in this deck, and it's something you can focus on. It's like something I look at as like, after a game, was my Halo turn good or not? That's a point of like an imperative point of analysis for me. And then Arclight Sentinel. Like, it's just a crazy powerful card. It's insane. You drop it in front of Angels. This is not one that I need every game, but the games where I do resolve it, it's just backbreaking. So it's something I will play to as just a power turn. Third principle. Start your turn with 1 card in Soul. That's just it. That's it. And there's a very... It feels like it should be a face-up thing to me at this point, but I'm too close to the deck. But it's like, when you start your turn with 1 card in Soul, your first Herald is threatening not just the flip, but the Angel ability. And when your first Herald every turn is threatening Shariah ability to draw 2 and just go crazy, that's so much more impactful than just a flip and a vanilla Angel swing that's being threatened, that then you go to 0 Soul again and then you send another Herald. It's like, it's much less impactful, because if you don't, this is so important for finding that Shariah turn, for that power turn. This is key. And then the other kind of one of those is your Aegis turn. This is super important against the Flick Knives decks. If you can get Aegis ability off, huge. Because if Flick Knives is off and like Blood Splattered Vest is off, or Marionette can't mark you, huge upside. Huge upside for you. Like, it's just massive what this does to some matchups where it's like, it just buys you a full turn and their value is cut by like a third, and you gain a bunch of life for doing it. Like, these are 2 power turns, but this is why these abilities, the +2 Spectral Shields, just 2 value. No. Stopping Mark, keeping your Angel at Ward 4, drawing 2 cards. I'm gonna count that twice. Drawing 2 cards. If your first Herald doesn't threaten these abilities, your entire game plan is less impactful. Because then you have to like sacrifice value elsewhere. So my first Herald that I have hit, I will almost never flip into an Angel. There's a couple cases. There's like corner cases that I might get into. But I almost never flip the first Angel I find, because I want that first Soul. I want to have that first Soul sitting there ready to go, threatening these extremely powerful Angel abilities right off the bat. If I'm not threatening these abilities right off the bat, the deck just feels 20% weaker, in all honesty. It's so important to have the first Herald not only threaten an Angel flip, but threaten that Angel's ability as well, especially when you still have Shariah available. You can flex it a little bit when you've gotten your Shariah turn, but you need to be threatening your Shariah turn as soon as possible. As soon as possible. Fourth principle, maximizing Wartune Herald. This goes back to what I showed earlier with the kind of one Angel 2 playlines or 2 Angel 1 playlines. These are just the most efficient playlines you can have. They're the most powerful things you can do in the deck. They're the best value you're going to get out of your cards. This lets you be very flexible. It lets you put Wrath, or play Wrath as that 5th card to push the first Herald through to then get this playline. It lets you Reprimand for all of that stuff. All of the enablers. It lets you keep the That All You Got that's in your hand and arsenal it and then get the extra 2 value off of that. It's so important to get this playline. But then also the other one is just like Wartune into Wartune. This is a great playline too. Let's say they're yellow Wartunes, so they're 6 and 6 plus an Angel Flip, 16 value over 3 cards. That's above 5 value per card. That's also pretty darn good. The 3 cards for Aurora are going to be about 12. You're going plus 2 value on Aurora there, roughly. This is also like this is a totally good hand. This also is great for getting you into a 5-card cycle of Wartune, yellow Wartune as your 3 cards for the turn. You get to send a double Herald. You get to keep your 4th card, and you can put that other Herald into your arsenal and get into a 5-card cycle. It's great. Doesn't come up a ton when you need double Wartune for this, but it's a play pattern that I'm very happy to see and very happy to play. It also lets you pay for Footsteps without a blue. If you have double yellow and Wartune and a 2-cost, you can pay for Footsteps. You can pay for Sigil of Suffering. You can pay for Vambrace. All things that I've done numerous times because Wartune is a 1-cost. Wartune as a 1-cost is just so good for the deck. There's 2 things that like would be dream cards for me to have, and one is another set of red Wartunes, and the other is an equipment piece. But like if I could just get a second set of red Wartunes, like not even the yellows or blues, hi Gordon, I'd be so happy because it would just make the overall deck just run so much more efficiently. It'd be fantastic. It'd be great. Yeah. Now, something that another fundamental piece that people have been asking me about is sequencing around poppers. This is pretty essential to the Prism deck. Like, if you have that first Herald, all of the math that I just did is assuming the Herald hits. And if it gets popped, it's not hitting, unless we have a Reprimand, and they don't have the D-React. So this is super important. This is, like, way more important than it ever was for OG Prism. And I can prove that in just a second. And it's because, like, Herald's going to Soul is just so impactful for our game plan and it's worth so much, and it's so essential for us to function as a deck and for us to justify being 32 starting health. We have to be able to play around poppers as a deck, and the easiest way to do that is lead with Herald of Triumph. This gets around Command and Conquer, Weakest Link, Erase Face, all of those things. This has really just become an all-star for me in the deck, where it just performs time and time again, where I'm just like, no, I'm safe. I got double Herald of Triumph. Let's go. And my opponent just blocks the second Triumph with their 3rd card and what would be a popper on any other Herald because they couldn't pop either of the Triumphs. It's just so impactful. And it's performed massively better than it ever did in OG Prism. Because they didn't care in OG Prism if it got popped. They were like, oh, okay. Yeah, you got it. You got some value. But the on-hit go to Soul is worth so much for us that this is suddenly one of the best Heralds in our deck. It is second. It is better than Wartune, I think, for consistency. And Wartune is slightly better for power. Because the value of on-hit Soul for us is so important, I'm happy to play a double Triumph hand, and just threaten 2 Soul in the Angel Flip. I'm happy for that to be my turn cycle. That's a totally comfortable turn cycle for me that I know I'm on my game plan and they're not going to have good chances to mess with us. It's why we see so many 7 power poppers or greater coming out, is because of this card here. Now, one of my favorite things to do is, particularly in the Zen matchup, if I get a little bit of a read that they have a Command and Conquer or Weakest Link in their hand, or a Race Face, whichever flavor they're on, if I send a Herald of Triumph and they like kind of fidget with their hand and they move one card off to the side in their hand or something like that, and they let the Herald of Triumph hit, and I want to keep Halo for Figment of Judgment, I want to keep that threat available, I'll just grab Figment of Triumph when the Herald hits, and my second Herald has the same effect, and then they just block with the random 3 block to try and cover it. And this is something that you can kind of only do when you have the read for it, but also it's just like something you can do later when you're closing out the game, basically, where it's like you're gonna set them, this Herald hits their way out as they get to pop the second one and then like hit you with 3 cards, but you grab this and you're like, no, you have to give me 2 cards. And you only get 2 cards back, which means you're just way behind. And then I have Halo for Ravages to finish you off. This is something that I do a decent amount of the time. Not every game, obviously. I like keeping Triumph in the deck for Halo specifically. But this is something that I will look for, especially when Halo has other priorities. Or when the life totals are getting so low that, like, I'm just going to Halo for Ravages to kill you on the next turn, if I need to. And then the third thing that I really like, I've really started to do more, is play with the intention of Haloing for Triumph. Send your Wartune red instead of the Herald of Triumph first. I want that blowout turn. They have no arsenal. I'm going to send red Tenacity. They have no, or it has Dominate. They can't react from hand. This will push through no matter what. Oh, they popped with Command and Conquer. Halo for Triumph. Go. It's go time. I want this power turn. I want this Halo power turn. I'm going to play into it. I want them to do it. This is something that I've started to do a lot more. And even there's footage of it in Memphis where, because Brian and I had played in Swiss, I knew that some of the things that he was doing was like he would intentionally, I would send a regular Herald, and then he would just block it normally, and I would send a second regular Herald, a non-Triumph Herald, and he would pop it. He's a Prism player. He was formerly a Prism player. He played it in Amsterdam. And I realized that he started doing this, and then I would send Herald of Triumph, and he would pop the second Herald that was normal, because that was the default at the time. And then in top 4 in semis, I would send the regular Herald first, and be like, would you like to pop it, and let me Halo for Triumph, and go crazy? And then I would send a Herald of Triumph second. I would intentionally play for this Halo. And because I knew that he was in this play pattern, I was like, I can use that. But this is something that's something like I'd played a game against him. I knew he was doing it. I could play to it. But I was playing with the intention of trying to get that Halo turn. And I did end up taking it, I think, towards the end of that game, on the second to last turn, I think it was. But like, you use this. You can play into it. You don't need to be scared of it where it's like, oh, no, I can't. No. It's like, no, take that power turn. Take it. Use it. It's there for you to use. If you're going to win the game from it, do it. Do it. That's just it. Like, the sequencing around poppers, like, isn't crazy hard, I feel like. And, like, also recognize which heralds you can send safely. If you need to send the Wartune that's instead of the Herald of Protection, because you don't have the resources if you get popped otherwise. Just do it. Recognize it. Play safe. Sacrifice the on-hit Spectral Shield if you need to. Just be smart about that. Make sure you have the... Play every hand as if you're going to pay footsteps. Is the big thing for that. These are like tricks to get around it. The baseline is play every hand as if you're going to have to pay for footsteps. Or a Sigil of Suffering. Alright. I think this is the last question that I have been getting a lot, which is Figment priorities. When do I get certain Figments? Why do I get them? How do I use them? That kind of stuff. There are 3 that are pretty common early game, and this is Erudition, War, and Protection. Erudition replaces itself. We want our Shariah turn as early as possible. The Ponder lets us get into a 5-card cycle. It's great. Get it out of the deck early against Assassins. Anything that banishes or discards off the top, get it out of the deck. Have it in play. Make sure you can't lose it. Figment of Protection, Spectral Shield's great, gain 1 life, but it also lets you cover breakpoints more easily, lets you cover flick knives. It lets you guarantee that angels are going to get Ward 4. This is something I'll talk about in a later video, where I kind of go over like how I work with angels defensively, caching their ward value, and when I like push it and when I don't. Protection is very helpful for this, not just for the spectral shield it makes when it enters, but also the 2 it makes when you use the ability. And it's very important to getting that Ward 4 where it's like, that's when we really get our numbers, because it's like, if suddenly you're only getting Ward 1, the 24 becomes 21. That's 3 value gone. That's not insignificant. It's a full block card. Like, get it out early, get the value. When you get this out early and it gets value, it gives you more space to find your power turns. Figment of War. I have to apologize to Figment of War. I tried to cut it at one point. I don't think it was correct for me to try and cut this card. I just wanted 6 Figments. I wanted to trim down on the non-heralds, and this seemed the most superfluous to me. I did not at the time appreciate just how much the Courage token mattered. It lets you, like, the most basic thing it lets you do is turn a 6 into a 7. Turn a yellow herald into a red herald, which is so good. But there's so many other little things you can do where it's like you turn a 7 into an 8. You turn a 5 into a 6. You recognize that they only have 2 points of armor left. So you turn your blue herald from a 5 into a 6. You see that Zen is blocked with Pouncing Paws, but they have the rest of their armor up. So you turn your Herald of Judgment into a 7, so that they can't just cover it with the 6 armor that's left. Look for spots to use this Courage token. They only have 2 points of armor left. Make your Herald of Erudition a 6. Things that like push them from giving you armor to giving you cards out of hand. Because the difference between them giving you armor and them giving you cards out of hand is night and day. It's huge. Find ways to make breakpoints with this. Find ways to make pressure with this. If you go red herald, and the second one hits, and you know you're going to arsenal a yellow herald for whatever reason, grab Figment of War, make that a 7, so you can then go again 7 into 7. Add more breakpoints, stress their D-reacts. Make it so that they want to value block with D-reacts, so they can't just go 3 block, then you Wrath it, and then they D-react it. No, make it so they're like, I don't want to give armor on this. I've got like 2 blocks of armor. So they go 3 block with React for exactly 7, and then you Wrath it. The more 7s you have in the deck, the more likely that is to happen. And Figment of War just lets you turn a yellow herald into a red herald. Very impactful. Get it out early. Use it as that like little bit of like pushing through armor as well. If this takes 4 points of armor, fine. I'm pretty okay with that usually. But if you can make it an 8, if you can make a 7 into an 8, that's pretty good. Like, look for spots to make their blocking awkward with it. Halo targets. Currently, that is Ravages, Triumph, and Judgment. Judgment turns any card that's in Banish, typically Tutors, face down. It can turn stuff for Vincent or Leviathan face down, but I'm not typically haloing for those anymore. I'm not haloing for this in the Leviathan matchup, I think, ever. Not with the intent of this effect. Vincent, I'm also not going to be haloing for this very much anymore either. You can see my last video for clarification on that, or for more on that. Figment of Triumph to turn off poppers, also to be defensive. Giving a very go wide turn from Zen, -1 on all their attacks, is really powerful. If they Sacred Art Jade Tiger Domain, and then they're like, I'm gonna go fetch Tiger Swipe, and then they're like, I'm gonna play Tiger Swipe from hand, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna -1 your entire turn. Now your Tiger Swipes have no on hits, and their turn just like ends. It's done. Figment of Triumph is more versatile than it might appear. Keep it in the deck as long as possible if you can, or if as long as there isn't like a Judgment priority or something like that. Figment of Ravages. If they target your Angel with Go Again, you can halo for Figment of Ravages. You target yourself with the Arcane in response to the attack being declared. and then you have the angel that is being targeted by their attack. Use the ward ability on it to eat your 1 arcane ping, and their attack fizzles because there is no longer a target there, because the declared target no longer exists. This means go again does not resolve, their turn ends. This can be pretty powerful. Most people will not play into it anymore, but it is something that you want to keep the threat of, particularly in the mirror. Keeping the threat of this available is huge in the mirror. But it's one that I will wait on anyways, just because it also, like, people, it'll slip their mind, and you can sneak arcane damage through. I watched my buddy beat an Azalea because Azalea went to their turn, and he's like, I'm just going to Halo for Ravages and deal 1 arcane to you when you're at 1. And the Azalea's like, yep, cool. Just like that. So, keeping this in the deck, pretty good. These 3. Judgment is not always in this list. I'm just putting it here. It can often end up as filler. Our last category of Figments, Judgment will often end up besides Rebirth. Rebirth is not a Figment that I need to get out early. It's one that I honestly want to usually wait on a little bit, because I can get Light of Soul tricks to happen, where it's like, you send a Herald pitching the yellow that isn't Light of Soul. It hits. You can grab Figment of Rebirth. You can put a yellow Herald back on top of your deck from discard. Then you pitch Light of Soul to something. And then Light of Soul triggers, sees a yellow Herald. You go get another Figment. And you can do some really obnoxious things if your hand lines up that way. Typically what you're doing, the angel you want to use that turn has to already be out on the board for that trick to work. But that's something that I look for, and it can kind of, if it doesn't happen, I'm not worried about it. It's cute when it happens, it's nice when it happens, but I'm not playing to it. But it's there for filler. It's another ward 4, like Judgment is in a lot of those matchups. So that's where the Figments are in priority. Now, I'm going to head on over to run a couple example hands to shuffle up real quick, 60 cards, and I want to run through some hands and talk through them. With all of this in mind, I want to talk through some stuff like an actual example, similar to what I did with the Aurora plan. So I'm going to head over to that. So with all of that, I'm going to run through a quick goldfish, essentially, of the deck. This is a pretty standard aggro 60 that I've got sided in. I'm going to assume that we're against Aurora. Pretty common matchup right now. Halo, Rapture, Calming Gesture, Footsteps. The standard equipment loadout into Aurora. I think you need Calming Gesture into Aurora. Like, Stonewall just isn't it. I want the AB. The AB is just for, like, flexibility. It means they can't shock you in response to you attacking with an angel and then eat your angel. It's for stuff like that. But yeah, shuffle up. I'm going to assume we're going second so we can get some filtering on turn 0, and then we can go for, like, full tempo on turn 1. So shuffled up, cut, and let's see where we're at. Okay. Not our best starting hand, or not the best, like, aggro hand. If I'm starting to filter, I'm immediately looking at this. If they go, like, sword into something, this is a good hand for going second, depending on what. If this is a Herald, we're very happy with it. If it's a yellow, we're also very happy with it. The second card I'd probably give up is probably the Yellow Triumph. I want to keep the Wartunes. They're very good for playing 3-card hands. They're good for playing around poppers, all that stuff. If it's Aurora, we need to play around more than 7s, generally. Let's say we do this, and we take 1 and leak 1. And then they pass, and we're okay with that. So going second, Light of Soul. Ooh, and a blue Triumph. Okay. Whew. Okay, we do not have any cards in Soul. First thing, we're just going to lead on Wartune, and we're going to pitch Light of Soul. We're going to trigger Light of Soul. Passing Mirage. Okay, good to know that that's there. We have 1 float. Let's say they just block this out. They don't pop it. I'm going to send Wartune. I want to put the Herald into Arsenal. I want to set up a 5-card hand and be ready to go on that. Let's say they block this one out as well. They've given us a decent chunk of armor, and they've given us a couple cards. We're going to take some damage on their turn, but that's going to be the price of the game. We have to burn through their armor. Once we burn through their armor, we're pretty happy with it. Okay. We are going to hope we can block with that all you got. This is Passing Mirage, unfortunately not a, what is it? Pierce Reality. If this was Pierce Reality, I'd be more okay with this hand. Neither of these are good arsenals. Reprimand against Aurora is not consistent. I think I'm likely going to one of these anyways. This would be great if it was our yellow card for the turn. Let's see what that all you got draws. Wartune. Cool. We can work with this. We're still not super happy with this. We're probably hoping they let the first Herald hit. This is a little unfortunate. So how do I want to work through this? We can hold the Reprimand and be okay with it. This is still like a normal, efficient hand where we're just going to go like so. If they let us have this, which I don't think they will, I probably hold this and Triumph. This gives us the best chance where if something weird happens, we can Reprimand it. If we get to play this Reprimand, we're super happy with that, in all honesty. We have this. There's just like no filtering for this. This Reprimand, honestly, might get cycled. It'll probably end up in our arsenal, but it could just get cycled where it's like, this is just what we play out. I don't super want to play out this Passing Mirage. It doesn't do anything. It just takes my action point. This at least doesn't take an action point to clear from my arsenal. I'm going to assume that we don't get to clear this, but let's say that this Wartune hits. This can let us out of this. We're going to go get Erudition because we just don't want this card. So we're going to burn our Ponder a little bit, but that's okay. We have 2 resources floating, so we can't... And like this being a Wartune as well, we can't even pitch this to Rapture and then pitch the passing for a 2 cost. Like, we can't even be cheeky about this and get around it, unfortunately. But this is these are the puzzles that the deck sometimes gives us. So, Wartune's in Soul. We have Erudition. And we have a Reprimand that's trying to not go into our arsenal if we can help it. So, Ponder, Protection, lovely. Arsenal it goes. Unfortunate that we just burn a card, but that happens sometimes with Ponders. Say la vie. Cool. This hand is sick. So, what am I doing with this hand? Reprimand is our go again card. I'm not looking to Erudition this turn. What I'm looking to do is probably Figment of War this turn, where we lead with Triumph. And the reason we lead with Triumph is because if this gets blocked, I want to send Protection. This lets me keep the Wartune. That way I can keep those, keep the ability to have those super efficient 4-card hands or 3-card hands. If the Wartune or if the Triumph hits, then we get to go get War and send Wartune for 8. We stay on 1 soul as well. We can Wrath this, but then we don't have... If we're going to play this Wrath, we don't lead on Triumph, we lead on Protection. And then we can Wrath and then go for an Erudition turn. We've already used the Ponder, so we would just like draw 2 and go into a Herald. I don't hate this line, in all honesty. This line is totally fine. We can probably still end up with this Wartune in our arsenal. If we don't draw a Herald, things can get a touch awkward, but I also don't feel the need to force my Erudition turn here. I'm perfectly comfortable. I guess it would depend a little bit on the game state with just sending this if they block the first Herald, Arsenal the Wartune, and look for that super efficient 4-card hand where I can also push it through, get a Protection turn, and then still have the erudition turn. It depends on how much damage the Aurora is dealt to you. If you need to push for your Shariah turn this turn, you absolutely can with this. Sequencing it like this, where something like this, and then you have another Herald off the top. So it would probably honestly be Wartune here and this here. Like if this is what the turn ends up being, cool, go for it. If you need this to be this turn, to have this power turn, go for it. But you don't need to do this. This is an option. I'm not super inclined to have this be my Shariah turn. I'd like to threaten this as a protection turn. Which if it works, it looks like this. And I'm keeping this Herald and Arsenal. Now, I could be convinced to switch these two either way, because like this could still be my protection turn. I don't super want to do that, because if this is my protection turn, I want to save this Spectral Shield for the erudition turn. I want to pair the Spectral Shield with the Ward 4 to try and guarantee this Ward 4. Not to keep Shariah alive necessarily, but to try and be that one extra point of value. Not one extra point of value, but to be that extra break point, so that they can't just make a rune chant and threaten Shariah off the rune chant. So pairing this with Shariah is something that I really want to do. And honestly, that could be this turn since we have the Wrath. It could be, but this is only a 5, and I might want to wait for a yellow Wrath to try and go for that. This is still a turn I'm totally okay with as a protection turn, if we want to go that way. But if it's protection turn, I want to do it this way. I prefer doing it this way, 2 Spectral Shields with protection, and I'm happy to do that. So let's say we don't get our protection turn here. We're going like this. We're not going to go War because we already have a 7. Although, if we haven't seen a D-React yet, let's say we haven't seen a D-React, we're getting a Spectral Shield here. We're going to make the Courage and make this an 8. This means they would need 2 D-Reacts or start giving us more armor. Let's say they've given us 2 pieces of armor here. They give us some armor block value last turn. They're starting to get a little low on armor. We're starting to get a little low on health. We might be in the 17 to 20 range for if they haven't had a super explosive turn against us. But we're here. This is in Soul and then Banish to Awaken. And then let's draw up and see what we've got. So we've got kind of gas. So we can do... We're going to say that everything goes. That Herald was already gone. So in hand, we have Red Triumph, Arclight Sentinel, Herald of Judgment, and Blue Protection. And we still have this Wartune in Arsenal. We can definitely look for an Arclight play here. We don't need to, by any means. We can take a somewhat kind of chill turn. And we can start on this Wartune that's for 8. That's fairly likely that hits. If that hits, we're going to town. We do only have 4 resources in hand. We have 4 resources in hand, but we have 1 float. So this might not be an Arclight play, but I think... So, like, the conservative line is we pitch the Arclight for this, and we get to just do our, like, super efficient curve again. We get to go Herald, Angel, Herald, this time with protection. And this is just so efficient. This is insane. This is like the 4-card 24, and we're going to Arsenal another 2-cost Herald. This is a great line. We're very happy with this. We can be greedy and go for... and that's probably like the correct play. But we can also be greedy, go for this. We can still go end on Herald of Protection here, make a Spectral Shield. Go get probably Rebirth, and then Arsenal this Red Triumph. That's a totally serviceable line. I understand it. That's kind of chill. It's a conservative line. I'll put it that way. It's low risk. So if we're looking at like this, and then we want to, so we have 2 float and we're drawing 2 cards. This is very reasonable to resolve Arclight and keep a card because we have 2 resources floating because we have 1 off Wartune and 2 off Erudition, assuming it hits. So we're resolving Arclight Sentinel with Erudition flipped. This was in Soul. These were both spent. We'd have another Figment. It probably wouldn't be Ravages. I'm just shortcutting it. And we get to go Arclight. This is gross. This is super gross because we can Halo next turn if we want. If we draw another Arclight or something. We would be on 0 soul for it, but that's fine. They're not hitting us, so we don't get to use the Soul Shield. So I don't think I Halo this turn. There's no reason for me to Halo this turn. This is literally just, we're gonna go Triumph. We're gonna lead on the Herald. We want to threaten the on-hit draw 2. We want to make it look like we can draw 2 and use it. When in reality we can't. We just have 2 more Heralds, and we're just happy to send more Heralds here. We're happy to. It's okay. We're cool with it. Because we're going to get to drop another Angel on this turn. And they can't block this Herald suddenly. Like, if they block this with 2 cards, we're like, oh, okay. Judgment. And then this one hits, goes to Soul, and we get to search another Figment. Like, let's say we search Rebirth. I'm gonna like quick shuffle. We search Rebirth and we go grab a yellow Herald that they'd blocked out and we put it on top. We can swing with Erudition in the middle of this. I'm not like super in love with that, honestly. It's just 4 value and I'd rather just get the Herald. And like, so like this could be a reason to Halo here. This could just be a Halo line. Because if this is our hand, we can go Halo, and that way we have draw. This, draw, and then we need to be here, and we're at 2 float. Draw 2. Now we're a little bit overcosted. I'm shortcutting a bunch here, but I just want to like explore all the options. Halo's gone. So what am I looking at for here? I want to keep one of the red Triumphs probably, but then it's like send red Triumph and then we're still gonna like IP a card unless we cycle one, but I'm okay with kind of keeping one where it's like just play another Triumph. I don't want to play this Erudition. I want to keep it for next turn. Erudition is obviously, like I didn't even talk about Erudition. This is obviously another way that you can like get stuff through, but it's not something that I rely on in the deck whatsoever. Let's just, so this, let's say this one hits, we flip again, we have 2 Angels out, and we have Erudition in hand. This would get banished, that's there. Wartune, okay, no blue. Ooh, okay, this hand is funky. So these are both going to end up going, probably. So, what am I doing with this hand? We're likely not getting to swing an Angel with this hand. To do that, we need to lead with Wartune, and I don't super want to, like, there's 2 arguments where it's like you can lead on Wartune or you can lead on Protection. I personally would probably lead on Protection because then I can go Triumph in Arsenal the Wartune. This is much more of a mid-game kind of play line. This doesn't give the flexibility of sending an Angel in the middle. So it probably is lead with... Nah, it's just lead with Triumph. Because we can send an Angel in the middle if this hits then. Because that pays for Angel and then Wartune gets paid for by Protection. Yeah. It's just... I think it's just always like this. Because I also want to hide the Wartune. I want to hide the 1 cost if I need to. If they press this and break it, then I pay Footsteps and I send the Wartune and I hold the Protection. Or if they have Ninth Blade or something like that. So that's how I'm playing this hand, like through poppers, but also like still the biggest damage is going to look like this. But it's all, I think it's always lead triumph then, because if that's an arsenal, yeah. Yep. So this is an arsenal. Let's say it gets blocked out because they have to, and then we get to send protection and arsenal of Wartune. This goes to soul. We get to search something. If we draw a Figment, I'll just take it. Figment of Ravages, please draw a yellow. It's a yellow. Cool. This one was blocked out. But now we have the Wartune available to us. We don't have Halo. So we have yellow protection, blue protection, red tenacity, which is still my one of red Herald flavor, and then Pierce Reality. So we want to have the Pierce Reality get pitched, if at all possible, and then we need the yellow to get pitched. So those are our 2 pitch cards. Then we're pretty clean on our standard tenacity Wartune curve, which I would lead with tenacity. And either I can send protection second, or if this hits and it does its thing, then we can go flip Ravages, swing Ravages, probably ending the game with Wartune. Yeah. Because this goes to soul, flip an ability, and then swing the Wartune afterwards on our 2 pitch cards of the yellow for going in on the tenacity, and then 2 and 1. Yeah, that's probably roughly about where the game is ending. If I'm having to block with those cards, it's probably because I'm losing the game. If I'm getting to send that hand, it's probably because I'm winning the game at that point. That's just kind of like, that's how the aggro matchups work out, roughly. So I wanted to give kind of an example of what I'm, and I wanted to do this, give an example and be able to stop and talk about each hand. I don't have something to play against doing this, but I also don't want to go on Talishar and do this and take 3 minutes on every hand and make somebody wait over it. But I wanted to give some direct connection to the different stuff I was talking about, particularly about Wartune, what that cost curve looks like, because it's become so important to me. Using Herald of Triumph, where it starts, and then using some of the different Figments. Like that Rebirth trick is really important. Ravages for endgames. Not the best uses of Halo, but like how to use Arclight in this plan, and where it's so different from the other ones. How many Wartunes did we see here? We saw those. We've got 1 there, and then we've got 2 more here. So we've got 5 that we'd seen in that time. And we ended up with some very good cost curves. Like when I see this many Wartunes, it just feels like the deck is like effortless. Like the deck is just working. We saw all 3 reds. So, yeah. I'm going to end this here. If there was anything that you think I missed or any questions that you have from this, please let me know. As I'm recording this, I fly out for London tomorrow. I will be editing this and uploading this tomorrow as I'm on the way, or at least some part of tomorrow, and it might pop up Wednesday instead. But yeah, I wanted to get this out before London. I might get to do something in London for a video, and I will probably start working on the next one. I think it's going to end up being a shorter one, just kind of on the loop and how it works and how I utilize it. But yeah, with that, thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.